Wait, not everything reaching toward you can be seen with your eyes. Some connections move in silence first. Some souls speak before a single word is ever said. And right now, at this very moment, someone deeply connected to your path is trying to reach you in ways you almost missed. Do not rush away from this message. Something important is unfolding quietly around you. There is a strange energy surrounding your life lately, isn't there? Moments that feel too timed to be random. Thoughts appearing out of nowhere. A name crossing your mind repeatedly. A memory returning at unusual hours. You tried to ignore it once. Then twice. But the feeling returned stronger each time, as if invisible threads kept pulling your attention back towards someone you cannot fully explain. That is not coincidence. And no, this is not about fear. This is about awareness. Because someone connected to your journey has entered a moment where their heart recognizes your energy more clearly than ever before. They may not know how to express it yet. They may appear distant on the outside. Calm. Silent. Busy. But internally, something has shifted. Something undeniable. Pause for 1 second and ask yourself this. Why have certain emotions intensified recently without warning? Why does it suddenly feel like the universe is rearranging small details around you? Why do you feel watched over during moments when nobody is near? There is a reason. Someone tied to your destiny has started to realize your importance in their story. And the strange part is, the realization did not happen through logic. It happened through absence. Through reflection. Through moments where they searched for peace and unexpectedly found your presence in their thoughts instead. You may not fully understand this yet. That is okay. The truth often arrives in fragments before it becomes clear. Listen carefully now. There are people who enter our lives temporarily, and there are people whose energy becomes permanently attached to our future. The connection I speak of tonight is not shallow. It is not passing. It carries emotional weight. The kind that changes timing. The kind that redirects decisions. The kind that quietly reshapes two lives without announcement. And recently, this person has been thinking about you far more than you realize. Not because they were forced to. Because something inside them awakened. You can feel it too, can't you? That unexplained emotional pull. That sudden need to understand where your life is heading. That inner voice telling you to stay alert because something meaningful is approaching. You tried distracting yourself from it. Yet somehow the feeling survived every distraction. That is because certain connections cannot be muted forever. Stay here a little longer, because the next part matters more than you think. There was a moment recently, perhaps late at night, perhaps during complete silence, when this person paused everything around them and reflected on you deeply. Not casually. Not briefly. Deeply. They remembered details they once overlooked. The sound of your energy. The comfort of your presence. The strange peace they feel when imagining a future connected to you. And suddenly, what once felt uncertain began becoming clear to them. But here is the part nobody tells you. When someone finally recognizes the value of a connection, reality itself begins to shift around both people. Timing changes. Opportunities appear differently. Emotions intensify. Conversations almost happen. Near misses become signs. Even silence starts carrying meaning. Have you noticed how certain things lately feel almost complete. Almost like a door is preparing to open. That is not your imagination. Something is moving behind the scenes. And while you are listening to these words right now, this person may also be wondering why your presence keeps echoing inside their thoughts no matter how hard they try to focus elsewhere. They do not fully understand it yet either. But their attention keeps returning to you for a reason beyond explanation. The connection is becoming impossible to ignore. Now hear this carefully, because this sentence may change the way you see your current season of life. Not every delay means rejection. Sometimes delays exist because two souls are still growing into the timing required to meet correctly. Read that inside your spirit one more time. You were never forgotten. In fact, certain events happening recently were preparing both of you emotionally for what comes next. The confusion. The distance. The waiting. None of it was empty. Every moment carried hidden purpose. And soon, pieces that once made no sense will begin connecting together in ways that surprise even you. But do not force anything. Do not chase what is already searching for you. The strongest connections do not require panic. They require awareness, patience, alignment. And tonight, your only task is this. Pay attention to what keeps returning to your heart. Because someone deeply connected to you is reaching toward your energy more strongly than ever before, and the story unfolding between you has not reached its turning point yet. Not even close. Something unusual is happening behind the silence, and if you have felt emotionally restless lately, this is why. There are moments in life when a connection grows stronger without direct conversation. No messages. No explanations. Yet somehow the emotional pull becomes impossible to escape. That is exactly where this story is now unfolding. The person connected to you has entered a phase where your energy keeps interrupting their ordinary routine. In the middle of work, your memory appears. During quiet moments, your presence returns unexpectedly. Even when they try to focus on something else, something keeps guiding their thoughts back toward you again and again. And what makes this even stranger? They are beginning to realize this connection feels different from anything they experienced before. Not louder. Deeper. That is why the atmosphere around your life feels different recently. Certain emotions became sharper. Certain instincts became stronger. You started sensing that something important was approaching, even if you could not explain why. It feels almost like standing near a door you cannot yet see, while somehow knowing it is about to open. Do not ignore that feeling. Because the connection between you and this person is no longer sleeping. Stay with this message for a moment longer, because the next part may explain something you have secretly wondered about for weeks. There is a reason you have felt emotionally pulled backward into old memories recently. A reason certain songs suddenly feel personal. A reason your intuition keeps whispering that somebody is thinking about you at unusual hours. Energy leaves traces. Real emotional connections always do. And right now, those traces are becoming stronger. This person may not fully understand how much space you occupy in their heart yet, but they are beginning to notice the signs. The emptiness they feel when imagining life without you. The comfort they associate with your energy. The strange calm that appears whenever your memory enters their mind. That realization changes people. Quietly at first. Then all at once. You might not see movement immediately on the outside, but internally. Something major has shifted within them. Their perspective is changing. Their emotional walls are weakening. And for the first time in a long time, they are questioning whether destiny placed you in their life for a much bigger reason than they originally believed. What if this connection was never random? What if every delay carried hidden preparation? What if both of you were being guided toward a moment that required perfect emotional timing first? Think about that carefully. Because sometimes life separates people temporarily, not to end the story, but to deepen understanding before the next chapter begins. And something tells me the next chapter is closer than it appears. There is a sentence this person has almost spoken aloud recently. A truth sitting heavily inside their chest. They may not have shared it with anyone around them, but internally they keep returning to the same realization. You matter more to me than I expected. That thought has been echoing inside them repeatedly. And whether you know it or not, your energy has been influencing their decisions lately. The way they think. The way they reflect. Even the way they view their future. You became part of their emotional vision without them planning for it. That is powerful. Not temporary attraction. Not surface-level curiosity. A soul-level recognition that slowly grew stronger in silence. Before you continue, take a deep breath and hear this clearly. Do not doubt your worth simply because everything has not happened yet. Important connections often move quietly before they become undeniable. And the silence you experienced recently was never empty. Beneath it, emotions were growing. Awareness was expanding. Understanding was forming behind the scenes where neither of you could fully see it yet. That is why tonight feels different. The energy around this connection is changing rapidly now. A conversation may happen unexpectedly. A sign may appear when you least expect it. A moment of clarity may arrive so suddenly that everything confusing from the past finally begins making sense at once. But until then, remain steady. Do not force answers out of fear. Do not chase certainty. What belongs in alignment with you will naturally begin moving closer when the timing becomes impossible to delay any longer. And trust me, that moment is approaching faster than you think. Before this part ends, let me tell you something quietly important. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, leave a comment below with the word aligned. Not for anyone else, for yourself. Sometimes declaring your awareness changes the way you recognize what is already moving toward you. And if this message speaks to your spirit, share it with someone who may also need this reminder tonight. Because somewhere, even now, someone deeply connected to you is thinking about you more intensely than ever before, wondering why your presence suddenly feels impossible to ignore. Do you feel that shift tonight? Not outside of you. Inside. Because the closer certain connections move toward alignment, the louder your intuition becomes. That is why your spirit has been restless lately. Not broken. Not confused. Simply preparing for something your mind has not fully caught up to yet. And this next part matters more than you realize. The person connected to you has reached a moment where pretending no longer feels easy. For a long time they tried to silence what they felt. They distracted themselves. Stayed busy. Avoided certain emotions. Convincing themselves that distance would weaken the connection over time. But something unexpected happened instead. The distance revealed your importance even more clearly. Now your energy appears in the smallest moments of their day. While driving somewhere alone. During conversations with other people. In quiet rooms filled with thoughts they cannot escape. It is becoming harder for them to deny what their heart already understands. You were never temporary to them. And deep down, you already sensed that. That is why this season of your life feels emotionally charged. Why certain nights suddenly feel heavier with reflection. Why random moments carry strange emotional intensity without warning. Your spirit recognizes movement before your eyes can see evidence. That is the hidden truth most people never learn. Energy shifts before reality does. And right now, the emotional current surrounding this connection is becoming stronger than ever before. Listen carefully. There is something this person has not told you yet. Something they almost admitted recently before fear interrupted them. Not fear of you, fear of vulnerability. Fear of change. Fear of what happens once emotions become real and impossible to hide again. Because once someone accepts that a connection is genuine, their entire future starts feeling different. And that is exactly what is happening. You may notice unusual signs soon. Sudden communication. Unexpected timing. Repeated symbols. Near encounters. Emotional dreams that feel strangely vivid. Moments that seem too perfectly timed to dismiss as coincidence. Do not panic when these things happen. Observe them calmly. The universe often whispers before it speaks loudly. And there is another reason this message found you tonight. You have spent too much time questioning your value because of delays you did not understand. At times you wondered whether you imagined this connection entirely. Whether you cared too deeply. Whether silence meant the story was ending. But silence is not always absence. Sometimes silence is emotional construction happening behind closed doors. Sometimes people need time to understand the depth of what they feel before they are brave enough to approach it honestly. And sometimes destiny slows everything down because the next phase carries permanent consequences. This connection was never meant to stay shallow. That is why every attempt to emotionally disconnect somehow failed. No matter how much time passed, the energy kept returning. Stronger. Clearer. More impossible to ignore. And tonight, something important is happening on an invisible level between you both. A realization is completing itself. This person is beginning to understand that peace does not come from running away from the connection. Peace comes from accepting it. That understanding changes everything. Stay here a little longer because the next truth may explain why your heart refused to give up completely. There are rare moments in life when two paths continue circling each other no matter how many distractions appear between them. Not because life is trying to torture them, but because certain connections are designed to transform both people before the final reunion can happen correctly. You both changed during this silence. You became stronger emotionally. Wiser. More aware of your own heart. And while you were growing in your own way, this person was also slowly awakening to truths they once avoided. That is why the atmosphere feels so intense lately. Two emotional timelines are beginning to move toward each other again. Not through force. Through readiness. And when that moment finally arrives, you will understand why everything had to happen exactly the way it did. The waiting. The confusion. The emotional tension. Even the silence itself. It was preparing both souls for a connection capable of lasting longer than temporary emotion. So tonight, do not focus on what is missing. Focus on what is moving. Because behind the scenes, someone deeply connected to your destiny is finally realizing that ignoring this bond only pushed them closer to the truth they were trying to avoid all along. And the truth is simple. No matter how far they tried to go, their heart kept finding its way back to you. There is one final thing you need to hear tonight, and it may explain why this connection has felt impossible to forget from the very beginning. Some people enter your life to teach lessons. Some arrive to create memories. But a rare few appear at the exact moment your future is ready to change direction forever. This person belongs to the third category. That is why your intuition refused to stay silent. Why every attempt to emotionally detach felt incomplete. Why your spirit kept sensing unfinished energy between you both even during periods of distance. Because deep connections do not disappear simply because two people stop speaking for a while. Real connections wait. And lately, this person has been feeling the weight of that truth more strongly than ever. There have been moments recently where they sat completely still, replaying old conversations in their mind. Reanalyzing your presence. Remembering details they once overlooked. And during those quiet moments, a realization began unfolding inside them slowly. You were never ordinary to me. That truth has been growing louder inside their heart every single day. The strange part is, they may not even realize how close they are to reaching out. Sometimes the biggest emotional decisions happen internally long before actions become visible externally. A person changes emotionally first. Then their reality follows afterward. And this person is changing. You can almost feel it, can't you? The emotional atmosphere around your life has become heavier with anticipation. It feels like standing on the edge of a life chapter that is about to turn unexpectedly. Certain fears are fading. Certain answers are becoming clearer. Even your energy feels more aware than before. That is not random. You are sensing movement before the moment fully arrives. But hear this carefully before you misunderstand the waiting. This journey was never about chasing someone endlessly. It was about becoming emotionally aligned enough to recognize a meaningful connection without losing yourself in the process. That is why your growth mattered. Your healing mattered. Your patience mattered. Everything prepared you for this stage. And now, the emotional distance between you both is shrinking faster than either of you realizes. A message may arrive unexpectedly. A conversation may reopen naturally. A moment of honesty may appear when you least expect it. Not because you forced it. Because the connection itself has become too strong to stay hidden much longer. Wait until the final moment of this message, because there is still one truth left unsaid. There were times when you almost gave up completely. Times when exhaustion made you question whether this emotional pull was real at all. You told yourself to move on emotionally. To stop caring. To stop hoping. Yet somehow, something inside you refused to fully close the door. That was your intuition protecting a connection your mind could not yet understand. And now the person tied to your destiny is beginning to experience the same thing from their side. The same emotional pull. The same unexplainable return of thoughts. The same feeling that life keeps guiding them back toward your energy no matter how much time passes. Two hearts recognizing the same truth at different times. That is what makes this story powerful. Before this message ends, remember this. You are not behind in life because something meaningful took time to unfold. Some connections require emotional maturity before they can fully bloom. Rushed timing breaks fragile things. Aligned timing strengthens them. And what is approaching now feels far more aligned than forced. So tonight, breathe easier. Stop assuming silence means rejection. Stop believing delays erased your importance. Somebody deeply connected to your path is thinking about you more seriously than ever before, and the emotional walls that once blocked this connection are beginning to fall quietly, one by one. If this message resonated with your spirit, subscribe and stay close to this space. There are moments ahead you will not want to miss. And share this with someone whose intuition has also been whispering that a powerful connection is moving beneath the surface of their life right now. Because very soon, what once felt uncertain may suddenly become undeniable. And when that moment arrives, you will finally understand why your heart was told not to ignore the signs. And now, the story reaches the point where everything begins changing quietly. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But in the kind of way that shifts a person's entire future without warning. Because someone connected to you has stopped fighting what they feel. That is the real turning point. For a long time, they tried to explain the connection logically. They searched for distractions. Told themselves it was temporary. Convincing their mind that eventually your presence would fade from their heart naturally. But it never happened. Instead, your energy remained. Persistent. Calm. Unshaken. And recently, something inside them finally surrendered to the truth they kept delaying. You matter to them far more deeply than they admitted, even to themselves. That realization changes the atmosphere around everything. Suddenly your name feels heavier in their thoughts. Your absence feels louder. Small reminders of you begin appearing everywhere around them at the exact moments they least expect it. They see pieces of you in conversations, places, music, memories, even silence itself. And tonight, while you are hearing these words, they may be experiencing a strange emotional pull they cannot fully explain. Almost like their spirit is searching for yours. Stay with this for a moment longer, because what happens next is important. There are rare connections in life that activate people emotionally in ways they never anticipated. Not through control. Not through obsession. But through recognition. A feeling that someone arrived carrying familiarity their soul remembers even when their mind struggles to understand it. That is why this connection survived confusion. That is why distance failed to erase it. That is why both of you kept feeling pulled back toward the same emotional center over and over again. Because some stories are not built on coincidence. They are built on timing. And timing is finally beginning to move. You may notice your intuition becoming stronger after tonight. Certain dreams may feel unusually vivid. Certain emotions may suddenly make sense. Even your perspective toward the future may begin changing in subtle ways. Pay attention to that. Your spirit often recognizes approaching change before your reality catches up. And there is something else you deserve to know. This person has been reflecting on the version of themselves they became during your absence. They are starting to understand how much emotional growth happened because of this connection. How much clarity appeared. How many illusions disappeared. You unknowingly changed them. Not through pressure. Through presence. Sometimes the right person does not arrive to control your journey, they arrive to awaken parts of you that were sleeping. That is exactly what happened here. And now, the emotional walls that once felt impossible are weakening rapidly. Fear is losing its grip. Doubt is fading. Even the excuses they once used to avoid confronting their emotions no longer feel convincing. Truth has a strange way of becoming louder with time. Especially when it is connected to the heart. Before this final moment passes, hear this carefully. Do not allow temporary silence to make you question permanent value. Some people need time to grow into the courage required for meaningful connections. That does not erase what is real. It only delays the moment it becomes visible. And visibility is approaching. Very soon, pieces will begin falling into place naturally. Conversations that seemed impossible may happen effortlessly. Emotional clarity may arrive unexpectedly. What once felt distant may suddenly feel closer than ever before. Not because destiny forced it. Because both souls finally became ready enough to recognize what was standing in front of them all along. So tonight, stop searching for proof everywhere outside yourself. The signs have already been speaking quietly through your intuition, your emotions, your dreams, your repeated thoughts, and the strange feeling that this story is not over yet. Because it isn't. In fact, the most important chapter may be preparing to begin now. And somewhere tonight, someone deeply connected to your path is realizing that no matter how far life moved them away temporarily, their heart kept returning to the same place every single time. Back to you.